Next time we need to print names on both sides so people can see. Good. All right. I will let our guest, School Board President Jeff Blumker, call their meeting to order first.
We'll call the work session, the Smithville R2 School District School Board meeting to order.
Thank you. I will call the City Board of Aldermen meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the school district update. Ms. Harwood, is that you? Or?
It's a team effort.
Team effort?
So
Okay.
the first thing on the agenda is a superintendent search.
Is that mic on? Make sure people online can hear.
Yep. Okay.
There we go. Thank you.
The superintendent search process is first on the list, so I'm going to let Mr. Blumker speak to that.
Good evening. First of all, glad to be here this evening to work with our friends of the city on how we take the best care of our community as we can. We do have some breaking news for even some of our school board members. Our search closed on Friday evening and we currently stand at 9 active candidates. That number had been 11, but one had accepted a position in a neighboring district and another one, when they were informed of the qualifications we were looking for, withdrew. We are excited about the 9 candidates we have. While thought the number might be a little higher, it only takes one. And we've got some strong candidates who have applied, and we'll be learning a little bit more about them in the coming days. As you may or may not know, we plan to do in-person interviews the 28th, 29th, and 30th of November. That will involve a variety of different sessions. Mr. Chevalier, you're over here, sir. At noon that day, we plan to have a session hosted by Ms. Wagner in this very room for local elected officials who the superintendent would be working closely with. So you all can expect an invitation to that meeting where you'll have an opportunity to meet the candidates and provide feedback on those candidates. And there are 5 different groups of folks meeting with them and then culminating with an interview with the Board of Education each one of those evenings.
Awesome.
Any questions on that front?
Mr. Mayor, I might also remind folks to speak close to the microphone so people can hear.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions from anyone? Since it was breaking news to some of your board too? No? Cool. Next is 2B, school safety review update.
Okay, I'd also like to thank you for the opportunity to meet together tonight. It's nice to get together in the room with all of you. School safety has been something big on our agenda all year. It's a ongoing agenda item for us just because of everything that's going on in our world. And so we started meeting in August with a group of law enforcement and public safety personnel to just initially to meet and talk through all of our planning and communications. We had a walkthrough in September. We've taken that data and we've been reviewing it to see what type of enhancements we might want for our district. And then ongoing working with Melissa Evans from Clay County Emergency Management to review our plans and to look at those. And I'll also be attending a school safety summit this week to see what other ideas we can implement as we move forward to make our school district the safest that it can be. So I appreciate the partnership with our local emergency management teams that have been giving us feedback and attending sessions. It's been a really great collaborative effort to improve our communications and everything from rally points to communications with parents, working on a communication plan as well, making sure we have templates for all of our buildings. And so it's been comprehensive and ongoing. So it's good. And then the last thing we had on, do you have questions about that before I move on?
Anyone have any questions? I think we're good. I don't know, Chief, since we're on school safety, update on second SRO?
Yes, Ms. Harwood and I have spoken mainly via email. We've got a date set up for interviews in early December, and I'm very confident we'll have somebody in place as the Christmas break ramps up.
Awesome.
And letters of interest were due today, and they're on my desk, and I've got 3 of them.
Awesome. Thank you.
We're very excited about that.
And your school security officer helped us with the CIA 5K, and that was nice to have
Awesome.
that extra help. I know Jenny really appreciated it, so.
Very good. Okay, the last thing on our end is the strategic planning update. We're very excited to be working with Future IQ, who the city also worked with on their city plan. That we thought that would be as we had groups turn in their RFPs to us to find a firm, they were who we selected. We are the first school that they've ever worked with. And so that's something new for them, a new caveat for them. We've also invited, as a part of that, our former strategic planning person from Blueprint for the Future. So he's kind of giving the school input side, and Future IQ has the city background, and especially our city background. And so we're super excited as we've been meeting weekly to plan the process, and we're kicking off our think tanks on November 17th and 18th. There's been communication that's gone out asking for patrons to take part in our strategic planning process. The more the merrier. So if anybody in the room is interested or knows somebody that would be interested, would like to serve on our team, again, the 17th and 18th are our first meetings. They're half day, 8 to noon. I can get you that information if you don't have it readily available. I'm happy to share that with you. And then some community surveys have been sent out. So we've had the input survey that's gone out to our patrons too. Takes a little bit of time, 15 to 20 minutes to complete it, but that information is super valuable to the district as we make our plans for the next 5 years. So we want it to be very comprehensive. Again, it is planning our next 5 years, and it's also painting the picture. We're calling it the portrait of a graduate. What do we want our students to look like when they graduate from Smithville High School? So we're very excited for that process to kick off. It is a year-long process. So again, if you need more information, please seek me out.
Got mine last night, filled it out.
Awesome, thank you.
Any questions on strategic plan? I think most of you have worked with Future IQ on our stuff, so you're familiar with David and the process, so I think you guys will get some good data out of it. All right, no other questions on the school district update. We'll move on to the city update. Oh. Wait. Yeah, so I'm sorry, but this meeting doesn't have a public comment section, and that's not on the agenda, so we can't discuss it. Nope, you could catch somebody from the school district afterwards, but it's not on our agenda to discuss it.
Mr. Hedgeworth earlier, right?
You're able to attend, but there's no public comment on this agenda, and the land that they purchased has not come to the city for any type of use or anything else. So it's gone through planning and zoning for rezoning. That's about it. There's no site plan or anything that we've seen, so we don't have details to discuss, and it's not on the agenda. So it's not on the agenda. Robert if you can catch up with him afterwards. Thank you. Ms. Wagner, are you going to provide the permit update?
I am.
Thank you.
Provide some information. We've had kind of a bit of a slowdown in residential growth as we see the economy starting to change. We actually in 2022 have issued 57 new single family permits with an estimated building value of over $15.6 million. For property tax purposes, that equates to just about $40,000 in new assessed valuation. There are currently 39 lots in Diamond Creek subdivision that just recently came online. That's off of
Manzanola.
Manzanola. Thank you. I tried to give that a different name. We also have had a new submission for 89 new units for development off of Second Creek Road, just behind the property that the city owns at the corner of 169 Highway and Second Creek Road. On the commercial side, one new permit was issued in 2022, and that was for McBee's Car Wash and Coffee at 121 Richardson. That you can see the dirt moving. That's on the east side of 169 Highway. That has an estimated value of about $850,000. We've also permitted a number of projects in late 2021 that came online in 2022 or are still under construction. Those include attic storage of Smithville on the south end of town. That has an estimated building value of $3.6 million, has 3 buildings, 2 so far are complete and 1 continues under construction. About $900,000 in building value for the final 2 buildings, which are currently under review for permitting. CPC of Missouri at 14930 Industrial Drive, back kind of behind the post office area. Has the medical marijuana cultivation and manufacturing facility with an estimated value of $30 million. That came online in August. And then Baptist Homes of Missouri on Hospital Drive is undertaking an interior remodel, and you can see the work out there as well as you drive by, and that has an estimated value of about $4 million. And then the gas station on the north end of town, 124 North 169 Highway, has a new estimated value of $850,000. So when complete, all of these projects are estimated to bring in an additional 40 million and change in property value. For tax purposes, that's about $130,000. So kind of exciting, lots of new development in the community.
Sorry, Ms. Wagner, you said 57 building permits and 1 commercial. How's that compared to the year before?
I don't have that comparison information. I'm sorry that on
Going to be here?
pardon?
Did you not know it was going to be here?
I know, I completely am out of
Good at talking
practice.
to your mic.
Yeah, your mic's not turned on. I can't hear you.
We can pull up the budget.
Turned on, I
document.
just apparently have to lean in.
Steven can pull up the budget document real quick and look that number up for us.
What I will share is the one commercial permit is definitely down from last year because as we said, some that were issued in the prior year have come online. The 57, I think, is about consistent with what we've had the last few years. We had peaked in the low 120s or so about the time I started here about 4 years ago, and that started going down as we've had the residential property fill. And we've seen a trend toward the commercial side of development.
And that's been our primary focus is commercial development.
Correct. And
From one of our first.
I also mentioned McBee's Car Wash. Across the street from it, you see land clearance as well. That has not come forward for any permitting for building as yet, but that's the Richardson Street Plaza, which has been approved for an infrastructure permit, and that will be mixed use and commercial predominantly as well along there. Stephen, did you? He's still looking. Okay.
Don't worry, Jeff, we'll get you that number. I'm sure John has it memorized since he's on P and Z now.
I think it's
Yeah.
almost, I mean, it's
52, 50,
within,
yeah.
it's definitely within a dozen. I would think within a half dozen.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and move on to marketplace and we
Sure.
can come back to marketplace update.
Unless there's any questions on
Yes,
building permits. No, okay.
marketplace. We've received information from our financial advisors on information to be submitted to the state for reporting on the TIF process, for the statutorily required TIF reporting there that will be submitted by the end of November. We also will work to have information on kind of a financial summary and recap by the end of this year. But just to kind of let you know, the first phase that had been approved is almost built out. There's one parcel of land that is not developed, and that's the lot immediately adjacent on the north end of Burger King. The rest of the space is built out. It's not a lot of new movement there, but you've seen growth in that over time. We don't really have numbers on that. The information that we report to the state provides an update on where we are. We are working to get a financial comparison and analysis through the end of this year to provide as some follow-up information.
Now that we have enough businesses in it, we can get that
Right.
data.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on marketplace? No? Awesome. Infrastructure.
We have, there are a number of projects that have recently been completed and some that will be starting and some that are ongoing. You may have noticed if you've been out If you were at the Haunted Campground this weekend or have been out near the lake on the dam side, the raw water pump station at Smith Fork Park, that project continues. That was a project that we thought would take about 4 to 6 months that will now take closer to 18 to 24 months because we're waiting on parts. We have a supply side issue. We have one part that will be on order at least 18 months. So we continue. That will provide an opportunity it's the first step in the process for the expansion of our water treatment plant. Just this past week, we completed the second year of our slip line program, which is oh so exciting. It's a project to make improvements to our sewer system to basically reduce our inflow and infiltration. Our systems, our pipes are very old. The slip line process inserts basically plastic chemical into it to seal those older pipes off so that rainwater and other water can't seep in and then make it to the sewer treatment plant for us to have to treat. So it's a cost saving and an infrastructure improvement program for us. We continue to work through this year's sidewalk improvement program, and we also earlier this year completed the Diamond Crest Neighborhood Playground on the north end of town. We recently completed, and you will see, I don't think we have it posted yet, but in the coming weeks, we will have our new GIS, Geographic Information System, live on our website. We're very excited about that project to be able to provide information to our residents. We've not had a citywide mapping system in the past, and this will provide a significant amount of information, everything from elected official ward boundaries to sidewalk condition to pavement condition index. You can go on a street and see its pavement rating and find out how that compares to others in the community and how that would rate on a priority system for funding for improvements over time. We also are just beginning the process for, we've completed the engineering and we'll be looking at bidding a project in the spring for the third phase of the streetscape project, which will extend the improvements that we've made downtown on Bridge Street north from Church to just north of the bridge. We're very excited about that, finishing off that piece of the project. We completed the transportation master plan in May of 2022, and the board adopted that this year. That does include a number of items that work with or address needs and transportation and complete streets programs for schools. One project that MoDOT is administering is slated to begin in the summer of 2023, and that is the 169 and 188th Street traffic intersection. So that we'll be glad to see that occur, trying to plan that so that it has minimal impact on bus routes, but there's always communication between MoDOT and the school district on that. And they also are working through situations with, okay, well, there you go.
Is that their, do they have an engineer now again? Because our old one retired.
I think they have a new one, I think.
Once we find out who it is, we'll let you know.
Yeah, there we go.
They had a
And
lot
maybe
retired.
we can get, I have a note, I need to submit a ticket online also for a deer on 169 South for them to pick up if anybody's noticed that too. I believe one other update to provide that we will provide some additional information. The board is aware. We have been working through the Mid-America Regional Council for grant funding, and the streetscape project, as well as the South Commercial Street project, were funded through grants from Mid-America Regional Council, our regional planning organization. This year, for a funding cycle that will be basically the 24 through 26, really 25, 26 fiscal years, included applications by the city for 4 projects. You may have seen on the website, we posted information and looked for citizen feedback and kind of to help us with scoring. Over the last several weeks, subcommittees from the MARC board have reviewed those applications and have developed allocation funding for literally millions of federal dollars that are coming to the Kansas City area. So that money that's coming into the Kansas City area, they are making allocations throughout the region. And those recommendations are based on that scoring system. The city submitted 4 projects in different categories, and we are anticipating funding of 3 of those. There are different levels of match that the city will make. There are different levels that we have in our CIP, but we anticipate in the 24, 5, and 6 year, kind of dependent upon things, the way things move, we'll see 50 to 70% match for the Riverwalk project, at least the beginning part of the Riverwalk, which would create basically a trail system from 169 to connect to the Main Street Trail on the east end of downtown that then would connect to, as I said, the Main Street Trail that connects to Smithville Lake. Second Creek Sidewalk, which also would be a sidewalk / trail, which would eventually create a linkage also to the Riverwalk and then connects to Platte County. A roundabout on North Bridge Street, which is at the very end of the streetscape improvements that we are making beginning next year. That roundabout would basically take care of the intersection issues at First and Bridge Street. So those 3 projects, we anticipate funding for. The committees that are reviewing those applications are making recommendation to the MARC full council, and we anticipate a pretty significant level of federal investment in the city for those projects. We applied for a 4th project, which was basically completing Pope Lane, connecting 169 over to Spellman. That is not in a current funding recommendation, but because we've made that request now, we'll keep that on that list for down the road. So we're pretty excited that we submitted for 4 projects and anticipate pretty significant level of funding for 3 of those. So we're excited about that. And Mayor, I believe one other item that's not on the agenda that I will update, sent information to our board today. And we received information or submission just yesterday of a draft TIF plan related to the old hospital. This does not yet start the clock for the review process that's statutorily outlined. We have not yet reviewed it on a staff end, and from our legal and financial advisors, we'll have review of that and some discussions with the developer, some feedback, and then we'll anticipate probably in the coming 30 days or so, the submission of a final draft, or excuse me, a final plan, which will then start that clock. Mayor, I believe that's what I have.
Okay. Any questions on infrastructure, CIP, sidewalks, anything else? Jeff's ready to ask a question.
I believe you have a key staff update.
Yeah.
Key staff.
Yes, I was going to suggest to the mayor that we have some introductions because we have some pretty significant key staff updates here. I don't know how many of you have met some of the staff we have with us tonight, but our most recent appointment is a new assistant city administrator, Gina Pate. Actually, she's worked in our public works department for the last year and almost a half. She came to us from the city of Columbia as a fellow in the city of Columbia and worked in a number of departments, mostly housed out of the city manager's office, but worked with a number of departments there. She originally is not from Missouri and she's from the South. But Gina has, as I said, worked with us for about a year and a half and is actually still doing the work of public works, assistant to the public works director for another several days, but we are training her up good to take on the full assistant city administrator position beginning next week.
Well, with Chuck out, she's public works director.
Our
too.
public works director is in Hawaii on vacation, visiting his son, whose backyard is the ocean. And so we get updates on a daily basis with pictures from him while Gina's back here filling a couple of roles. And I don't know how many of you, we also have a number of staff. Linda Drummond is our city clerk. And Stephen Larson is our finance director. And Matt Denton is our public works director. Parks and Recreation director, sorry.
He works with public works a lot lately.
He does. He keeps public works in line
Yeah.
when Gina's busy. And our chief of police, Jason Lockridge, is back here as well. Thank you for that reminder.
Ms. Harwood, would you like to introduce our staff?
Well, it's my honor to sorry, threw me off. To introduce our staff as well. Let me see, let's start over here. This is, well, I'll start with Mr. Blomaker. This is Jeff Blomaker. He's the school board president. And we have Susan Whitaker, who is the vice president, Denny Fales, who serves on the board, Scott Haggerty, Scott Jacoby in the red down here, and Whitney Carlisle right here to my left. And we're missing one board member, Ian Saxton. He was not able to be here at this time. And then we have some individuals from the school district. Karen Kopp, she's the school board administrative assistant, and Mr. Robert Hedgecorth, he's the executive director of support services. And back in the corner is Kim Davis. She is our human resources director. And I don't think I've missed
Thank you.
anyone, so thank you.
I think we got everybody. Next item, or any other questions or announcements before we move on, Jeff? I know you guys are on a tight window. You got a couple minutes. Next is number 4, April ballot initiatives. You can correct me when I mess up. So we have 2 questions on the ballot, correct?
We have no questions on the ballot right
Well,
now. The
well,
board
our
has
plan is
discussed,
to
the
do
board
2.
has discussed too.
Yep.
That is correct.
So yeah, the board is planning to review language in a future meeting for 2 questions. One is a sales tax towards police operations. We worked with Jeff City a few times to try to get that through as an actual public safety sales tax. You'll see some signs up for some other communities this go around. We haven't been unsuccessful. We have to get permission from Jeff City to do an actual public safety sales tax. But we do have the capacity to go out for a general fund sales tax that we can earmark for police. So that's what we're going to do,
It would be a
our plan
half-cent
is-
sales tax, Mayor.
unless we decide something else in the ballot discussion.
Half-cent is our authority.
I know. And then the other question will be on a bond for city buildings, which includes a police facility. And if you have visited our police department willingly or voluntarily, it's smaller than this room, I think, but in a very narrow format. So it's this hallway on the other side of this wall. About this whole half of it is the holding cells, the evidence room, the testing room for fingerprints and intoxication. And then there's a little bullpen, and then there's chief's office, and we added some detective offices and interview room as part of our old lobby, as part of the renovation. It was built in prior to chief's time, 1987, when we had 2 officers on duty usually on a good day. Yeah. And now how many do we have during shift change? You got about 10 people trying to cross. Yeah. So it gets tight. Somebody's sitting around writing reports left over from the last shift, and it's tight. So we need to look at a modern police facility. We purchased land for that a few years back, and we're gonna take that to the voters in April is the plan, if the board agrees to it, once we have that language.
And that would be a property tax.
That would be potentially
With a bond issuance.
a
and-
bond issuance with a property tax.
What's the bill on that one?
With
How many
the,
is
we
that?
haven't got there yet. We don't know for sure. We are looking at police facility and then improvements to our parks building to be able to move the streets department out there. Along that line, the original feasibility study for Parks and Public Works changed dramatically recently because we found out from the Corps of Engineers that they were going to allow us to share space with them in the Litton Center. So Matt and Alex and a few other folks will be changing office space in the near future. When are you thinking of moving in? Early summer. So the need at the Parks Barn is not as much. We just need a little bit of extra space and renovation for them and the streets crew to be able to house together. So we'll see what it looks like once, I think, is it next meeting, we're gonna look at
Yes,
the actual ask. Yeah.
yes.
It'll be
And-
around 20
Yeah,
million.
we are current authority based on our assessed valuation is just a bit over $21 million in bond issuance that we'd be able to issue for facilities. And the tax necessary to support that would be probably either 58 or 58 to 62 cents. So as the mayor said, we will be reviewing that this fall and would anticipate that then being on the ballot in the April election.
Any questions or comments before we move on to the school district? I watched your guys' YouTube video, so I got a little bit of insight into what you're looking at and your, comprehensive plan, so. Who will be providing that update?
I think I've drawn the straw, so.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
we could get Robert if he needs to.
He can probably talk about it in his sleep, so he can correct
I heard him
me.
say it like 20,000 times. over.
That's right. We are also looking at putting a bond issue on, I think Jeff's offering it to you, so,
There we go.
in the spring
It moves.
for, multiple things. Actually, we're taking it to our full capacity.
There you go. Thank you. I know one of those is you're struggling to get HVAC parts too. We just had a little HVAC incident here too. so.
Yes, so I'm gonna try to make the exhaustive list and you can jump in. So one of the biggest things is looking for a transportation facility since our contracted service, retired and sold out. There's no places for our school buses. And so looking at creating a space for our school buses, doing HVAC improvements on both Horizon Elementary and the middle school. They've been needed for quite some time to make them up to par, better than, they're made for where our kids deserve. Looking at safety enhancements for our district as we've been doing this comprehensive study, what things do we need? Sidewalks to kind of tie into what you're doing, adding sidewalks for safe passage on our campus. If you've ever been to the main campus with 3 schools and a central office, it's very busy. And so we want our kids to be able to walk safely. Adding turf to the middle school practice field. So our elementary PE classes can use those as an outdoor classroom space. We can expand places for band to practice and for different activities. Taking the space in the gymnasium that was formerly the weight room and the wrestling room, since they have a new space, and expanding our bleachers. If you've ever been in our gym, our student body cannot fit in the high school gym all at one time. And so taking those spaces out and expanding our bleachers for our students. And then a multi-purpose room where the old stage is. So we have some teams that can't practice, like our dazzlers can't dance or cheer, or teams that need to stunt. So making them a space indoors so they don't have to wait around and practice at different times. So giving more options. And did I miss anything else?
That was all good information. Just to piggyback off what Ms. Wagner said about bonding capacity, it'd be about a $17.5 million project. And that would basically not use all of our bonding capacity, but about 90% of what we had left. It would be a no tax increased bond vote for that, as it'd be part of just that bonding capacity for that bond. So general obligation bond. And Ms. Harwood summarized all those perfectly. So I can answer any questions if anybody has any on those projects.
I watched the videos. Your drawings were good and explained a lot, so see where the sidewalks are going. And I know somebody had asked about Eagle and some other stuff that wasn't on there, but yeah. Anybody have any questions? Comments, concerns, next
I do.
steps?
I'm sorry, I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
go back up. The half-cent sales tax for police, what would that generate each year?
So we've passed 2 half-cent sales taxes in the last couple years. And we go off of those numbers because they would include what's generated at marketplace. We're getting close to 700,000 on the park sales tax and the infrastructure sales tax now, right? The original estimates when we put that on the ballot was about 440. So I think depends on how much more retail and sales tax generating businesses we have. And
So that was for parks and sewer, right?
It's the,
Parks and
infrastructure.
stormwater.
Stormwater.
yeah, Parks and Stormwater we're getting close to 700,000 this year. Did we make it there? We hadn't had finance committee yet. It's next week, so. So, there we go. So yeah, that's about there. And right now, police operations are north of 1 million.
Approaching basically, if we look outside of capital expenditures and what's the other, it was really the capital expenditures. We said the really personnel and key supplies. We were looking at that half-cent being able to fund a significant piece of that. We were looking at particularly the addition of additional staffing as we continue to grow as a community. Moving, if we are successful in being able to build a new police facility, there are some new positions that are needed in just staffing that and making sure we've got the customer service there. And as we grow, there's a significant number of overflow needs at the police officer level.
Someday it'll just fund the whole thing, right? So we're get there. Any other questions? It's a good question.
So one other comment, just for our public more than anything, for what a bond, just to remind everybody what a bond is. Bonds can't pay salaries, they're bricks and mortar. So as we're doing that, sometimes people ask schools, like, what do you do? What's the difference between a bond and a levy, or why can't you use this money for that? And so just a simple explanation. So if with our no tax increase bond issue, we can't pay salaries, it has to be for buildings. So bricks and mortar type items.
Yeah, that's one of the things we run into a lot is, well, you guys have money in the sewer and water. Why can't we use that to build a pool? Well, it's not legally allowed to, so I get it. Thank you for clarifying that, though. And HVAC's important. It's been hot and cold, and we've had to turn on the air conditioner and heater both in the last 2 days. So. Anything else? So when we first started having these meetings, we discussed quarterly minus the summer. Are you guys still okay with that schedule? Looking at doing a springtime meeting update. Hopefully we'll have some exciting news on superintendent and a few other things by then.
We better have that by spring.
I hope. I mean, staffing's hard right now.
We'll be okay.
I have full faith in you that you will. Anything else? John and Denny showed up a little late. Did you have any questions on the first couple agenda items? Yeah, okay. I know you guys had another meeting to go to, so Alderman Blumker, you called it to order first, or?
I will
School
adjourn
president.
this portion of our meeting, and we will be reconvening at the school district at 7 p.m. for a work session on a variety of different topics, including some curriculum, and invite everyone to attend there as well.
You're gonna take your name tag with you?
I
Yeah.
am.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the city portion of the meeting. Oh, I need a first.
Mayor, I'll go ahead and make a motion. to
Thank you.
adjourn.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. All
Aye.
opposed, say no. All right, Sandra, thank you all for coming. Yeah, and our